mental health is something that we don't talk about enough. In the black community, well, we're massively overrepresented in the mental health institutions, even more so than in the prisons. And again, these are questions we have to ask. Well, why?
You know, but once you get a control and an understanding of who you are, no one can use you against you. No one can ever use your mental illness against you. You've already spoke about it, so what you got?
The biggest point in life to resolve mental health is like giving a fuck about a person.
Where did you get the courage? I got the courage. The 2 words. I care.
It's Chill Will Radio, where connections will be made, advice will be given, jokes will be told, and things will get real. My name is Willis Cooks, and I'm your host. But understand this show is not meant to be used as a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. Enjoy the show, y'all. Yo, what's the deal? Welcome everyone to another dope ass episode of Chill Will Radio, man. Welcome everyone. Happy Sunday to those who are getting out of church, who are getting out of, Roscoe's. You're getting all your chicken and waffles and all that good shit. Welcome everyone to Chill Will Radio, man, where we're talking all things mental health, the good, the bad, the ugly, the taboo, the not so taboo, the things we're supposed to talk about, we're not supposed to talk about, whatever it is, the stuff you need to be talking about with your mama in the kitchen while y'all cooking or whatever. And good looking, y'all. Thank you to everyone that's tuning in. If you're tuning in right now, good looking. If you're going to be tuning in halfway through the show, sometime in the middle, because you got some stuff popping right now, good looking to you too. Good looking at all those individuals who will be tuning in tomorrow, next year, next month, next lifetime, because you got important things to go on right now, and my thing comes secondary. Good looking to you too. But I always say this, man, shout out to those individuals who won't be listening at all, who continue, who always continue to disregard their mental health, man. You don't have to listen to my mental health show, but at least do something to get your mental health, to become one with your mental health, so everything can be on track, right? Because you might not catch on to me, you might not catch on to this show, but you will catch on eventually. Man. My week. How was my week? My week was cool. It was cool. It was good. Everything was okay. I don't know. I didn't have nothing spectacular, nothing crazy going on in the week. It was just kind of a typical week, working all day, every day. My homeboys was in town, so I was being a fucking tour guide with them. The people that was on the show last week, so I was being a tour guide with them. What else? Nothing else. Getting irritated at work, dealing with doctors, dealing with nurses. Like, I swear, man, when you work in the healthcare industry, sometimes when you're new and you work within the healthcare industry, what you're gonna do is you may assume, right, that everyone is just as empathetic as you are when it comes to patients, when it comes to clients, when it comes to looking out for people. Yo, these people don't be giving a fuck. Like, these people do not be caring. Like, doctors, nurses, other therapists, right? Other healthcare professionals, clinicians, like, they don't be caring. And it's crazy to me because I don't get how they are not able to just connect with the patient. Well, I understand that, but I don't get how they could be so callous to the problems or to the things that they will put the patient through because they're not really utilizing everything that they can, right? I always have to ask myself why. I always have to ask myself when I'm dealing with a difficult patient. Like, if I was in that position, would I be cool with the service that I was getting at that moment? I always be like, hell no. So I don't go above and beyond and burn myself out or whatever, but I do everything that I could possibly do so that way the patient ain't gonna come back and be like, yo, Willis was the fuck up. Like, nah, my name is not in the dirt when it comes to working within, this mental health field. But when it comes to certain doctors and psychiatrists and other people, like, they really don't care. And it's so distant and it's so crazy. But it's the world in which we live in, right? We have a lot of people who are going through a lot of things and who you go into the hospital expecting to get help when in reality it's just like, nah, I'm just You got shitty insurance, so I'm finna treat you like a shitty patient, man. Another thing I want to speak on real briefly is all of those individuals who kind of died. Not kind of. How do you kind of die? All of those all of those individuals who were either wounded or who lost their lives within, you know, these last 2 mass shootings. I think it was like yesterday night, right? One was in Texas, the other one was in Cleveland. And I made a post earlier, you know, it was the white man strikes again. The white man strikes again. And it's crazy because all on Instagram what you see is the white dude who shot up, I believe, the Walmart in Texas, talking to the police officer all calmly, and the police officer's looking at him. And I'm thinking, like, as a police officer, what are you telling him? Like, are you asking him, like, say, hey, why did you decide to shoot up this Walmart? White people typically don't have an answer, right? And we were having a discussion about this earlier within the show, before they even show behind the scenes, and one of the people in the room tried to mention that it was, no, not even the one person, but I'm sure it's going to be brought up that the person had a troubled past, or the person deals with mental illness, or there's something wrong within that person's life. And I think it's very, very important and critical that we don't use these things as a scapegoat, right? We don't use these things as a way to kind of make it seem that person had a legit reason to do what they did, when it's like, no, right? And my verdict, my rebuttal to that was, it's just, no, we're not going to allow people to use mental illness as a way to really say, oh, that's an excuse to be able to shoot people up. It's never an excuse to do all of that stuff, right? Statistically, right, the majority of people who are psychotic, they are the ones that's being harmed. The majority of the people who are psychotic, they are the ones that are scared. The majority of the people who are psychotic, they can't even think that thoroughly, think a plan that thought out to go, I'm gonna go shoot up this Walmart, buy this gun, and do all of this, right? A lot of psychotic patients, they're very impulsive. They're very, very, very impulsive. So they may think about, I'm going to buy a gun for this moment, but they're going to buy a gun and they're going to realize, like, oh, I can't do this. They're not going to be able to go all the way through with it because they're not there all the way. They don't have the capacity to really follow it through. But the thing is, with a lot of these white folks who are, let me calm myself down because I don't want to go on a white rant. But with a lot of these white folks who do these mass shootings, man, I have to go back and bring it back to the type of white people that I have to deal with back at work, right? When I look at the white children who are coming in, and I look at the white parents of these white children, what happens is that, and this may not be a cause, but this is just a theory that I have. What happens is that, you know, you have these white children who don't know what consequences are, right? Who grow up beating their parents' ass. Like, I've seen some parents with black eyes and they telling me, like, yeah, little Timmy done blacked my eye. Well, how old is little Timmy, ma'am? He is 6 years old. So you're allowing your 6 years old to beat you, right? You're going to continue to allow your 6-year-old to beat you. You're going to continue to allow that 6-year-old to run that house. See, what's going to happen is that 6-year-old isn't going to know what consequences is. That 6-year-old isn't going to know what respect is. That 6-year-old is going to believe that they are above the law. So when that 6-year-old grows, it just manifests into something greater. So that individual will never, ever be able to understand, you know, what it is to do something negative like that, because they've never been able, they've never got their ass beat, right? I say a lot of the time, a lot of these patients, a lot of these little kids, they just need a belt. They need a black mama who gonna point you in the direction to get a switch. And if you got to let her to pick the switch for you, good fucking luck. Right? Good fucking luck. But I will not allow a lot of these people to blame what happened this yesterday on mental illness, because it's not what it is. I'm always going to be an advocate for those people who are truly psychotic, who are truly going through these things. And just because you have some form of mental illness, that does not mean you're about to shoot up something, right? Nobody who is truly psychotic and who is truly delusional and hallucinating will be able to carry out something like that. Statistically, it's just not working. They're the ones getting harmed. They're not the ones giving the harm, right? But that was my week, and that's what it is. So moving on forward, right? Moving on forward into the self-care piece, right? One of the things that, and this probably should have been the very, very first self-care piece as I was thinking about it, right? But moving on forward to the self-care piece, one of the things that I want everyone to implement within their self-care regimen, right? This self-care tip for you all is to, before you even start on your own self-care path, while you're doing it or wherever you're at within your own personal self-care journey, you need to define what self-care looks like for you. Right? Define what self-care looks like for you, and don't let anyone tell you that that's not self-care. Don't let anyone tell you that that's not self-care. I work 7 days a week. I have 4 jobs. I work 7 days a week. I'm not finna go get no damn facial for no self-care. I'm not finna go get no wax for no self-care. I'm not finna do that. I can't color. Like, I don't know how to stay in between the lines. Like, I'm not gonna do that, right? My form of self-care for me, what I have to do is I have to put myself in a position in which I can win, right? So I can get some form of reward out of it, right? What I'm doing right now is challenging myself to work out for 90 days straight. Today will be number 42, right? Today will be number 42, right? After I go here, I'm gonna go home, do a little quick home workout. But today will be number 42, right? And every day, what I do is I don't work out to get stuff. Well, sometimes I do, right? Sometimes I work out to get off anxiety or to get off stress, right? But for me, this is self-care because I'm challenging myself every single day, and I'm getting something outside of it. I'm getting something on the other end. I'm being rewarded, right? Because before this, I'm on day 42. It's crazy to me that I'm on day 42 because before this, I haven't even worked out for 5 days straight. I would always work out, right? I've always been an avid person in the gym, but not for 5 days consistently, not for a week consistently. It would be if like I work out for like 2 days and I'll be down for the week. Or I work out for 4 days, I'll be down for the week. Or I skip a day or whatever. Being that I'm on day 42, this is my form of self-care, right? Challenging myself in many different areas. Right now, I'm about to start fasting, right? My man Didier has been on it for a while, but I'm intermittent fasting now. And towards the end of this 90-day workout thing, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast for 5 days straight, right? I'm going to fast for a whole week. Nothing, just water, right? To me, that is self-care. A constant challenge, consistently challenging myself for me is self-care. And then also, how long do you need to be participating in that self-care, right? Because self-care is used for what? To recharge us. Right? We're not performing any type of self-care for anything else but in order to recharge us, right? In order to refill our battery, right? That's what we're using self-care for. I don't need a whole day to recharge. I don't need all of that. Give me 30 minutes. Give me an hour. I'll be good, you know? So the self-care tip, but I want everyone to understand and place within their self-care regimen, and this should have been the first, but define your self-care. What does self-care look like for you? Do not allow another person to define what self-care is for you. Period. This is for you, this is by you, and this will only assist you. Don't go ahead and get your nails done if you ain't a fan of that. Don't get facials if you ain't a fan of that. Don't do that. I'm too ticklish, or I don't need massages. I'm not finna have nobody putting their hands on me because I'm too ticklish for that shit. Like, we're not finna do that here, right? So whatever that self-care is for you, take care of that. If your self-care is doing something challenging, doing that. If your self-care is putting yourself in a dangerous position because you're a thrill seeker and you get a real ride off of that, go ahead and do that. Whatever it is for you. Have faith in what you do. Don't let nobody else tell you how to do it. And understand that it's for you, not the other person. All right? Cool. So what we finna do is we finna move on forward, right? Moving on forward into the main topic of the show, right? Moving on forward to the main topic of the show. What I do, I have my main man right here, TJ. What's the deal, man? So, first and foremost, man, for those individuals who don't know who TJ is the co-host of what?
Just a dope ass radio show, man. Formerly just a dope ass. What kind of just a dope ass podcast? Just a dope ass radio show.
Just a dope ass show.
Just a dope ass show. It's just dope ass. It's just dope ass shit around here.
That's a dope ass show, man. He's a new. I don't even want to say personality, but he's a new founding member of the Chill Will family. What the hell? Of the Good News family, man. And I was on his show yesterday, man. That shit is hilarious, yo.
Appreciate it.
It was him and his homeboy EJ TJ. That shit is strange to me. But
It's actually out of the group of us, it's more Jays, which is just a strange situation.
yeah, that they ended up being like that. Like I literally had to think about it before saying your name. Okay, EJ the black one, you light skin one. Okay, cool. TJ the light skin. So TJ 10, EJ, I don't know, Eternal, because Eternal's darkness or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
He gonna hear this and try to get on my head.
Just as long as you know.
Hey, it is what
As
it is.
long as you know.
But man, shouts out to him, but shouts out to you, man. Y'all did a
Appreciate
really,
it.
really dope ass job. I told Jackie this yesterday. I told Keith this today, man. They really, really won with y'all being on the show now. You know, I didn't get a chance to hear Bree's show. I think that comes on
I actually
Thursday.
got to go back and listen to that person.
Yeah,
I saw when she was like, that was recording. Like,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
little
yeah.
Video, but yeah.
I haven't had a chance to listen to that show, and then I've only caught snippets of the new show that came on today because I'll be working. Like I said, 4 jobs, 7 days a week.
Kyrie stuff today was dope.
Yeah,
Talking shit with Kyrie.
So he really, really won with the new people that he got on the show, man. And we're just gonna keep expanding, and making this shit work. How'd you feel yesterday with your first show, man?
It was good. Like, I know like the live aspect was a little different for us in the chat room, but we just kind of like got lucky with how we had been doing it before.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really edit shit. Like we was just like, yo, they finna get all this and
True.
just kind of, and also like as we're learning, so we didn't really know how to cut it. So it just worked.
And that's what I always have to tell people, the difference between podcast and radio. Because a lot of people ask me, why is it chill with radio when it's like podcast, blah, blah, blah. I like to say it's a radio because we're not chopping any of this up. We just going. Podcast is like, I'm finna pre-record this on a Saturday in my boxers, and I'm finna edit this on a Monday while I'm eating after work. Like,
Yeah.
it's pre-recorded. So, you know, this show, that show, every show on this network, unless the only way to be pre-recorded is if that individual is like out of town or something. Like I had to pre-record a show before it because I left out of town, but it's dope, man. So happy to have you here, man. Happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Outside of that, man, how you feeling? How's everything going with you?
Actually, things are good. I'm really like I guess kind of a weird coincidence, like you said the other show. Like
Yeah.
I enjoy the mental health stuff myself personally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just like you said, like self-care. Like I just personally try to take inventory of that.
Yeah.
So you know, just the same thing. I always try to like clock my week, leave work at work, whatever relationship shit, anything like that. So yeah.
Just be a little bit more mindful of what you're doing.
Yep, awareness and mindfulness. I be trying to be real big on that.
Because you ain't trying to take none of that work stuff home.
Absolutely not.
Especially if you're dealing with a certain population. Badass kids.
100%. And it's speaking of what you just was talking about, is just people bring a lot of their shit to them, or bring the shit that they dealing with back to. It's just a big cycle
It's
of
just
bullshit.
a full
It's
circle.
like, yeah.
It's just a full circle. And you got to know how to release. You got to know how to get out of it. And, you know, everybody goes back into self-care. But the thing is, like, a lot of people don't understand the self-care that works for them. Because when I'm on Instagram and I'm looking at self-care, and this is something that kind of motivated me into doing this, but when I'm at Instagram looking at self-care, I see people meditating, and I see people getting facials, and I see, you know, people doing this and people doing that, and I'm just looking at this shit like, I'm just looking at like, I don't do none of that shit.
None of that shit.
The only thing I do is meditate, right? But I don't do the formal like sitting down. Like my form of meditation is being more mindful of where I'm at. So I take the second to get in my car, take a second. Wherever I'm at, if I'm going to a new place, like if I'm coming home from work, I sit in my car and I just fucking unwind for a little bit for like a good 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's self-care.
Yeah, like I do something like that. Like I might not sit in my car, but I don't necessarily meditate traditionally. But like I'll sit somewhere, I'll just get silent. I'll just kind of, get in my head, just level myself out.
Exactly. Calm down your spirits. And that's all really self-care is, right? You used to be able to calm down your spirits so you can refuel, replenish that energy that's up inside, right? So that's dope, man. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you in mental health, man. What caused you to get into that?
Actually, I guess I kind of fell into it because when I left school, like I got my degree in political science.
Yeah.
So, when I got out of school, I'm just applying, doing shit. And my mother's a social worker, so
Okay.
my whole life I've been like, that's cool. I'll get into it. So initially, and my pops has been in corrections. So initially, I ran his route, and just applying for jobs, you just want to get experience. So I like fell into the group home thing, and I started falling in love with the fact of like, okay, I see this kid come in and he's motherfucker this, motherfucker that. And it ain't like you have like Green Thumb or Golden Touch, but to watch them transition, like, okay, like I dig this. I dig seeing you go from wherever you came from and watching you transition into something better.
Yeah.
So I kind of realized, like, I was talking to my pops, I'm like, yeah, corrections might not be for me, but also I wasn't super into like necessarily the social work aspect. I just really enjoy this counseling, this one-on-one shit.
Yeah.
So that was it. Like, once I kind of found my little niche, because you know what I mean, like everybody talks about, like, I'm chill by default.
Yeah.
But when I get to going, I'm like, okay, I'm going on this. Like, I feel something when I do this.
Yeah.
And so I got caught up in, if I'm going to do a job, I want it to be a job that, one, make me feel good. And if I can make it, I want to make a bag. Like, I want the bag.
Clearly.
I want the bag that kind of I can go to sleep at night and not feel like shit either.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to feel like an asshole at your job. And you also want to, when you're at the job, you want to enjoy it. And I always tell people, when it comes to social work, a lot of people think social work is just like, oh, I'm finna snatch kids because I'm working at the county. Like, those not even social workers that snatch your kids. Those are caseworkers, and there's a big difference between the two, but people don't understand that. But, social work is so many different areas in which you can go to. You could, if you want to be in social work, you could work on the criminal side. You can be a probation officer and work on that side. You could work in schools. You could work in hospitals. You could be an individual one-on-one therapist. Like, I know so many social workers who are like, I'm not fucking with therapy. Not doing that because they don't want to do the one-on-one thing.
Yeah, that's another weird thing I found out, like, just working around in these mental health fields, like group homes, behavior schools, facilities, whatever the fuck. It's just crazy how many people are in this field, and like you were speaking to before, just are not with the connection. And I'll be like, how did you, like, what did you saw the job application, like you knew what this was, and you went to school with it, like you went through years to get taught, and you were like, I don't these fucking well, you should, I don't know, work at McDonald's or something.
You should leave. You should quit.
Yeah,
it's a lot of people who stuck in their position and they don't like it, but they refuse to go ahead. It's people who were stuck in their position for like 10 plus years. 10 plus years talking shit. Since I've been working here for 2 years, you've been talking shit for the whole 2 years that I've been here.
Exactly.
And you've been here for 10 plus years. Why are you still here?
All that, just complaining. Like, I've seen, me be somewhere for a couple of years. Somebody new comes in for 3 months, has a great connection with the population, great connection with the kids. This person over here, I've been here for 10 years, and every time a fucking kid, I'm like, so the only constant in this scenario, you've been here for a decade, and you've seen people come in and out, get promotions, this, that, and the third. You've been here that long. Yeah. The only constant is you, and you think it's their fault? What's wrong with you?
Exactly. It ain't them.
Yeah,
look in the mirror, homie. Look at that reflection. Look at that person that's behind there. So, one thing we're talking about today is why are we so quick to giving up on things, right? Why are we so quick to giving up on healing, giving up on friendships? Why are we so quick to giving up on goals? Why are we so quick to giving up on relationships, right? Only reason why this is important for me is because I do individual therapy. With one of the 3 jobs is individual therapy.
Gotcha.
And the most inconsistent population that I have are males, right? Males are so quick to give up, right? They're the most inconsistent population. When I also work in a psychiatric hospital, right? So when I'm in that psychiatric hospital, they're so quick to give up on actually trying to get out of their shit, right? They're so okay with, well, I'm just going to be a depressed person forever, and this isn't going to be me, right? They're so quick to just give up on this aspect of healing, right? When it comes to personal, right? For me, it's, and this is a problem of mine that I've kind of been dealing with, but I'm quick to give up on people, right? I'm quick to give up on people, whether it's friendships, whether it's relationships, girls, homeboys, whatever. I see one thing that you doing and I'm not fucking with,
I get that.
I'm cool, right? Because for me, I've been able to, I choose to not deal with this shit. I choose to not fight through the pain. I choose to not actually try to build a relationship. So it's much easier for me to, to kick rocks than to actually deal with it. And that says a lot when it comes to, the patients that I work with and the patients that you said you're at a group home right now, right?
No. I've actually, I'm out of the field now because I was at a group home and I kind of got into it with the same type of people we're talking about. They just happen to be in position. And so before I kind of messed my stuff up, I was like, let me just bounce real quick and give me a couple hands and then go back, because that's one thing, like, I'm pretty chill, but like if you mess with something that I feel like is passionate to help them, that's what we were getting into it about. And I was like, all right, I haven't been here that long, I don't have that type of connection, so I can bounce. Bruh. And kind of figure it out.
I'm at a job right now in which I don't understand why I'm not fired. because of that.
Yeah, see, I didn't want to do that because I'm like, man, I'll fuck around and mess.
Because
that's what I
of
want to
that.
do. I can't get my shit messed up. I gotta.
Because of that, But even like I was just saying, the kids in the group home, and I grew up in a group home, but the kids in the group home, when you see them, a lot of those kids, and they're at a young age to where they have the ability to fuck up without anything detrimental happening within their life, but they're so quick to just give up on everything. So quick to, not hear that therapist or that counselor out because they're just like, fuck it, I'm going to be shit forever. So it's interesting to figure out why are we so quick to kind of go that route, right? Go.
Yeah, I think, personally, I think it's kind of like we were talking about beforehand, like off air, it was just like the analogy, like people haven't had enough fights, like you just haven't had the training on going through adversity. And then to me sometimes I'm really I've practiced years of being like accountable. A lot of these things that go on in my life, like I could be like, this relationship was bad, this friendship was bad, but at some point I'm like, okay, if I attract too much bad stuff, there are things I'm doing consistently the same way. So I gotta look at me because I'm like, okay, if I'm giving up on people, if I'm lonely, or if I'm this, that, and the third, it's me. I have to go. You know what I'm saying? And then like I said, like the adversity part is you just gotta learn that loss is a part of it. Like loss is not a bad thing. Failing, like all you see all these great Instagram posts of these millionaire people. It's like you gotta fail, but you do. Like failure builds character. You learn that like, okay, I'm not finna die. I'm not finna die just because I lost. Like you learn to deal with I lose, it feels bad, I'm depressed. And then after you get depressed, you're like, oh, that doesn't last forever. So next time you get depressed, you understand that on the other end of this, you'll be better for it.
Yeah, for real. On the other end of it, you get better for it. And then you also made a point in which it's, I hate it when that happens. You say something, you just forget. As soon as you finna say it.
All day.
Whatever it is. But, yes, you're right. Right, 100%. Loss is a part of it, right? But there we go. The self-accountability part, right? The self-accountability part, it's that's extremely important because what happens is that when negative things happen to us, right, what we choose to do is, and sometimes a lot of people do this unconsciously, but we're quick to point the finger, especially when it's happening over and over, like an employee who's at the same crappy job for 10 years and their 10-year stint has been terrible. Maybe it's been terrible because you've chosen to stay here for 10 years. Like, look at the shit that you're doing, right? It's a lot of therapists who I know who certain patients don't like them, right? It's not because there's anything wrong with the patient. It might be you, right? Look at the parents who sometimes raise fucked up kids. It's not the kids. Maybe your parenting skills are out of whack, right? We have to be more self-accountable, but I always try to understand why it is hard for people to be self-accountable because just as you, I practice that all the time. I always have to ask myself, well, is what can I do better or what did I do wrong within this situation? Because it's not the next man's fault. It's your fault. It's the choices that you made. But I always try to sit there and wonder, why are those individuals, why are people, I don't want to say can't, I'm just going to say they're afraid to be accountable. It forces you to look at yourself. It forces you to say, like, damn, I'm a fuck up or I fucked this up. That's a tough thing that nobody wants to even talk about.
I think that is the reason, like you don't want to. It's hard to be like, we finna win a championship, bro. You had the shot. You were set up perfectly. All you had to do, man, was lay it up, and you missed it. You don't want that feeling.
I'm gonna blame it on you because you passed me the ball the wrong way.
Yeah, you don't want that feeling.
You're supposed to be up here, but
and like you said, like the piece about just like fear, like people. What's that movie? There was a movie. It don't matter. It had like Tom Hardy, and they were like fucking like they ran like liquor. It don't matter. There was a line he says.
Yeah.
Is that they talk about the family name, and he goes, he basically says we control the fear. Like you can't get away from fear. Fear is a part of you. Need that.
Yeah.
Fear is some guy putting in your back pocket. Hey man, you fucking with something you shouldn't have fucked with.
Exactly.
But you don't let fear control your actions. So I think people sometimes just get caught up and going, okay, I'm afraid of this because it's new or whatever. But you control your mind. Like you have to get in your own head and be like, yo man, the fear is not a bad thing.
How do you not allow fear to control your actions though?
I think you just practice it. Like as simple as that sounds, like I'm not really big a lot of times on complex answers. Like I really believe
keep it simple.
Yeah, I think things are like working out. Like you just talked about working out. Working out is not a complex process. It's very fucking simple. You work out, you eat the right food, you'll lose weight, build muscle, but it's hard. And I think people like just have to work like the same thing. You just have to work on this is a hard process. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's it. Like people don't want to deal with fear or deal with their issues because it is hard to do. That shit is like I can lift weights and I can I can see it in the mirror. Like I've lifted a bigger weight than I did. In my mind, I'm like, I don't really know unless I run across. I'm not gonna run across a fucked up situation every day.
Yeah.
So now I gotta really, and it's almost like for me, when I was like early, like okay, man, like I'm mad a lot or I'm feeling depressed. Like you gotta kind of damn near consistently almost think about something bad, so I'm like I can work through. Yeah. And that's hard. Like I don't want to do that shit every day. Yeah. I like I like watching cartoons. Like, I want to keep it chill.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a hard process, and it's something like, especially in our community, it's not taught a lot. Like I was taught how to throw a football long before I was taught how to deal with my emotions. So I think because you're learning how to deal with your emotions, you have the emotional range of like a 10-year-old because you didn't really learn about them after 10.
Yeah.
Like, you 30 and you like, shit, man, why does this? That's because you were at 30, but you never went. Like if I don't go to school, I don't know how to read.
Exactly. So, right. We don't have nobody to teach us. We have the parents trying to teach us how to deal with our emotions.
They don't know how to deal with theirs.
As fathers dealing with their emotions with their sons, don't cry, don't be no bitch. He's too vulnerable. That's that girl shit. We ain't no women over here. This is what it is. And it's like what you said. We don't get at a certain age like that teaching of emotion stuff. Stop. Right. We get to a certain age to where we are, especially as men, we're not supposed to be emotional. We're not supposed to shed a tear. We're not supposed to be vulnerable. But that leads, our emotions to come out in different areas. We don't know how to channel it. We don't know how to really utilize it, right? Because fear is a tool, right? That's what a lot of people don't understand. Fear is a tool that you can use in order to get past certain things, right? When it comes to fear and getting over stuff, I just have to ask myself, am I going to die? If I'm not going to die, what's the point? Okay, I may break a bone, but that's going to heal. I may cut myself, but that's going to heal. I'm going to come back stronger than the other stuff. If I die, okay, it's a wrap, but I still do dangerous things in order to get a certain thrill, right? In order to give yourself that reward of knowing that you've overcame that fear, right? And I believe sometimes that's one of the reasons why fear could be used and why fear is a tool. Because if you use that fear in order to get that feeling of accomplishment on the other end, you're always going to be winning. Yeah. Right? But we're never taught that. Like you said, we're never taught how to utilize fear. We're never taught how to utilize emotion. Like as men, when it comes to fear, I know me, for instance, I was taught to just go into it. Right? Just deal with it. Don't cry. Don't fuss. Don't talk about it. Just deal with it. Whatever comes from it, comes from it. Right? Yeah. But that teaches us also how to react, and not really respond to a lot of the things that we have to go through, a lot of things that's coming towards us. Because we're just trying to take everything head on, when in reality, we don't need to take everything head on.
Yeah, like I think that kind of mindset is like, you got to have both, because you mess around and don't know how to analyze that fear.
For real.
So that's how I feel like, that's how you get like trauma or like generational curses. Like you just are doing the same shit when you could have just said, hey man, if I can barrel through the fear, like I'm not gonna let it control my actions, but if I just analyze why I'm scared, I probably could have attacked this situation better. Yeah. Because I'm going head first, just getting mad about shit or something because I don't want to admit that I'm scared.
For real.
And I could have maybe I could have talked through this instead of fucking throwing a chair at somebody or whatever.
Man, that's 100% right. That's being really critical of self and analyzing itself is a big part about it, right? Nobody knows how to. I know there was a certain time in which I didn't know how to do it, and even would I want to do it? No, because that always goes back into being self-accountable, right? Because a lot of us, as we kind of said throughout this whole show so far, is that a lot of us don't know how to be self-accountable and where we're at. But when it comes back into why do you think men particularly, right? Let's say when it comes to relationships, why do you think men particularly when it comes to relationships are so quick to give up on it?
I think that kind of comes from just a lot of things, like what you said before, like I'm taught not to cry, I'm taught not to, like societal things, like you're supposed to be this big strong man or whatever. And it kind of comes from both sides. Like you looked at as a punk if you cry, or I'm supposed to handle business like a robot, and that's not healthy. Like I'm a human being, like I have these emotions. And even on the other end, like you got to find like a real, quality woman who will accept. Like I'm not saying you can't be out here crying all over the place. Like I'm still kind of a Neanderthal like that. Yeah. But somebody who accepts that. Okay, like my man will cry. Like I can be like, you can hold him up. Like don't just don't just post about it.
Yeah, for real.
you can be there to accept that he is not always going to be this kick down the doors type shit. I just think that it's just not taught enough. Like you can, you know, you have these emotions in you. There is like both masculine and feminine. You just got to be able to access that. And I think we're not taught that.
We're not taught it, but how do you teach someone to accept it once they get to a certain age to where, because what happens is you get to 30 years old.
Question.
Yeah. You get to 30 years old and you realize that in a therapy session or wherever else, you get to 30 years old and you realize like the way you've been living life emotionally is just not it. How do you fucking pull someone out of that cycle?
For me personally, and just even, you know, when I've had conversations with kids or clients, even like friends or whoever the hell else, because it's just it's just like almost, it's simple, but it comes off a bit harsh. It's like you kind of put them against the wall. It's like, look, you've been doing this way and you feel like this, and now we're having this conversation. You fully understand that if you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to feel like you feel. I understand you are scared of this side because you have no idea where it goes, but you understand the alternative. The alternative is complete ass. So you like try it. Just like, I'm not saying like, and I'm like, you put it on me. If you try this way and it fucks up, and then like that comes to also like setting like believable boundaries. Like do this for a month. I'm not saying you'll get over here to like bright lights and like shiny heaven, but I guarantee you'll be here. And I think once people see like, you know, oh shit, I got here. Now, I'm not saying it's the greatest, but let's try another month or two, and I bet you'll be here. And I think once they get a couple steps of seeing that, you know, it starts to build. But you just gotta kind of put it in front of them, like, look, you've been doing it this way, my G, and it don't work.
And there's two parts into that. The first part of the two parts is that we are more scared of the pain in trying, because pain comes with trying new things, right? Failure comes with trying, pain comes with trying, and this is the second part, because we're so focused on the end result, we're not trying to deal with the nonsense that we got going on right now. So because we're so scared of dealing with the pain from trying, and because we're so focused on the end result, we don't want to deal with the stuff now. But what people don't understand is that right there is causing you to continue to be stuck in the bullshit that you're in.
Absolutely.
Because you're not giving yourself no room to grow. You know, and like you were saying, it's kind of baby steps within you trying to hold on or trying to give in. I mean, not trying to give in to certain things. And the other thing is a lot of patients ask me this, and a lot of patients and clients and people, they have a point, like, just because I try to do this, that does not guarantee that it's going to work.
True.
Right? And the thing is, it's not about what I always have to say, it's not about if this is going to work or not. It's just about you understanding that you have the ability to try to get to a different place. The whole concept is, do you actually want to get to that other place?
Yeah, like I think it sounds like cheesy because everybody's saying it, but there's a power in like manifesting. Like if I believe that I will get to this place, it don't matter like which way. Like I could get to LA taking the 60, or like I could get to LA I could take the streets if I want to, as long as I get there.
Yeah,
I think people gotta it's said like a lot, but you just kind of have to start falling in love with the journey of it. Like you'll get to the end result, and that's why I think those little goals are important. Because it's like, you know, everybody wants gratification. I like gratification.
Yeah.
So it's just like you got to start, you know, like you said, everybody focus on the end. Like focus on this goal right here.
Yeah.
I promise that shit'll feel good. If I
one at a time.
You know, I could give you a box of donuts. If I give you one, it still tastes good.
Exactly.
The next week you might get 4. Next week you might get 3. But all the donuts taste good. They all sugary nonsense.
But if you set the bar too high, if I give you this box today,
you're
gonna be expecting that box tomorrow. Then when I come with that one donut, it's gonna be like, what the fuck?
You'll be in here this long. You think you gonna get the whole Krispy Kreme, bro? You ain't got it like that.
You gotta gradually work yourself into it, right? You don't want to take on more than you can chew. You're gonna choke. You're gonna drown yourself. You're not going to win, and that's the issue with a lot of things, right? We try, because we're so quick to try to get through something. We kind of throw everything out on the table to try to get everything get everything done really, really quickly. Yep. And that's the other thing a lot of people have to understand when it comes to any type of healing or when it comes to working towards anything. It takes time to get better.
Patience,
it takes time to get through it. Like, that's what we have to understand is patience. And when it comes to things like depression and feeling bad and anxiety and all of these things, when it comes to like therapy and mental health and self-care, all this other stuff, like, you're not depressed because of one thing. You're depressed because of an accumulation of multiple things that happened in your life since you were about 5 or 10 or whatever, All of these things have just manifested into your depressive behavior right now. Do you really fucking think you finna get all of that stuff out of your closet in 2 seconds?
Bro, if it took you X amount of years to get the shit, you should just at least, even if it don't take that long, you should just prepare that it might have to take you that long to get it out your shit. That's it.
It might take you even longer.
It probably will take you fucking longer.
It will.
You can find some shit under here, over there, like, yeah.
It will take you even longer, but the thing is, it's just like, you have to, and I always have to tell people, just as like the problems in your life started coming one at a time, you have to start cleaning things up one at a time. Like when you cleaning up your room, you're not just swooping everything up. You're picking up one shirt and throwing it over there. You're picking up that comb and putting it over there. You're doing it one at a time, gradually taking things off. So that way, when it comes to you actually understanding, like, hey, I can get through this, then you're going to look up and be like, whoa, you know, my closet was like yay high. Now it's like, you know, the pile ain't that big because you just focused on like what you said, that one point.
Exactly.
But if we get away from that one point and we start to back up and we look at all of this shit, we're going to go up and be like, damn, I gotta get through all of that. I got to deal with this. I got to deal with, I want to be married, but I got to deal with all of this bullshit just to get married. Nah, I'm cool. Right?
Yeah.
It's like we got to understand that it's a constant thing, and it's something that's going to take time. Right?
Yeah,
but we're more invested in the instant result.
You gotta, it sounds cheesy, but you just kind of do have to fall in love with the process of getting better.
How do you fall in love with the process?
I don't know. It's only way I can talk from personal experience. It just practiced on it. Like I just got, like I guess it got cool with me. Like I like working out in general. Like you said, like
yeah,
I don't even know if I go there anymore for just like physical stuff. Like that's kind of where I do go to think. I'll go on autopilot for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just because it'll be quiet. I'll have my headphones in. It'll clear my head. And I don't know. It just made sense to me because I like I said, like I would, same things I talk about, I've done to myself. Like you put yourself up against the wall and it's like, okay, bro, you've been focusing on this end result. And does it work? Does it make you feel better? No, but you focus on the little shit. You focus on the grind. You focus on, I did this 2% better than I did yesterday. Like you get kind of critical as you are of your bad shit. If you get that critical on your good shit, every day is kind of a win. For real. So it just, to me, everything, it just comes back to practicing whatever you need to practice to get your head in the right space. So if you make it kind of a daily thing, it kind of will, you know, your mind is more powerful than you give it credit.
Exactly. So
it'll just start to, after you just, if you put that in your mind, you practice it, it'll just start to manifest itself.
It starts to manifest itself. And like what you said, when you said your mind is more powerful than you actually think it is, right? When it comes to a lot of the negative things that we have going on in our life, I tell people a lot of our negative thoughts are there because that's just a habit that we've built. Right? You said that you've practiced and you've kind of formulated a certain way in which you think or in which you act, and we all unconsciously do that, right? When it comes to negative thoughts, we've unconsciously started to think negative. When it comes to negative behavior, we unconsciously kind of created that. That's our response. That's all we know how to be, right? You touched on this earlier, like, you know, we aren't learned how to deal with. We're not taught how to deal with our emotions. So we're taught to operate this one specific way, and you carry this throughout your whole entire life, right? So when it comes to getting out of it, what you're doing is you're not changing that behavior, but you're changing a whole thought process. Yeah. Which is why it's so hard. Like if we look at the and I read a book on this, I can't remember the name of the book, but if we look at, you know, the neurological aspect of it, we're literally going against certain wires, frameworks, certain neurons in our brain that tells us to go left when really we're supposed to go right.
I was reading something like that. It was I don't know if it's the same book, but I was reading what's that shit called? I think it's The Power of Habit.
No, it's not it.
Oh, but it was talking about, he talks about basically, you know, they always say like, you know, you can change your habit in 21 days, but in that you are changing neurological things in your brain of how to focus on this task or this task. And it was just, they talk about all the examples of it, but it's the same thing. If you just keep working at, I need to find ways, because I can't change every situation, but I can change how I view the situation. Like, oh, you know, whatever fucked up, but it could have been like this. Even something as simple as that, it could have been worse. Like that sounds corny, but it could have been worse. Could actually start kicking your shit into another lane. Yeah,
it could have been worse and everything, but ask yourself, and this is for a lot of people, ask yourself whenever, because like I said, we habitually go to the negative side, but my question to you all and ask yourself is, when you start to think negative, ask yourself, why am I thinking negative? You know, because a lot of time we come up with those thoughts and we just go. We don't question our thoughts. We don't question the thoughts that pop up in our head. Why am I thinking about this? Why do I think this way? Or why am I thinking negative? Why can't I think positive? Right? We never challenge ourselves. And that goes back into being, you know, that goes back into being accountable. Right? It goes back into being accountable. And that's something that we've spoken for kind of roughly the entirety of the show, and how a lot of us don't, you know, go back into being accountable.
Show should have been called accountability.
But pretty much of it, pretty much damn near the whole show. But when it comes to like all of it, giving up, the main aspect of giving up is just going and back. And that's another thing that's kind of difficult for me to understand sometimes when I'm talking to a lot of my patients or a lot of my clients. And then you're going to see this, right? Once you, because you're in school right now, right? You're going to see this when you're in school, when you're doing internship, when you're working, is that the bullshit that goes on in people's lives is because they've created it.
Absolutely.
The nonsense they have going on, the depression, it's self-inflicted.
Yep.
Because a lot of us know what we have to do to get out of our depression, but we just don't do it. We just don't do it.
It's easier to just put shit in the way. Like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna go get this fucking bullshit ass for anything.
And the thing is, we know that when I go get this drink, XYZ is gonna happen. And then we get pissed that XYZ was gonna happen as if it was supposed to be different.
You knew exactly what was gonna happen.
But that goes into kind of what we've been speaking about, the whole show concept of self-accountability, this whole concept of not being scared or being fear of actually trying something new.
That's my favorite thing, like, to say if I'm talking to somebody, like, I understand how it sounds. Like, I'm telling you, like, just pick the shit up, man. It's like, I know it's not an easy task, but it is. I guess I sometimes take solace in, like, it is simple. Like, I know that I might not be able to pick up 400 pounds or whatever, but I know how to do it. Like, if I just keep picking this shit up, I'll pick up 225. Eventually, it'll be 300 and so on and so forth. You just gotta like that's one thing, like I said, of like mindset of finding a positive. Yeah. Yes, I know I can't, but I know how to do it.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Exactly. In business, a lot of people speak about, you know, when you're trying to, you know, accomplish something, what you do is set the goal like extra fucking high, and just work backwards. So set the goal extra fucking high. Like, say, if next in the 10 years I want to be here, okay, what do I have to do what do I have to do in order to get to that 10 years? So what do I have to do in 9 years? Okay, what do I have to do in 8 years? Okay, what do I have to do, you know, in this week? What do I have to do today in order to get to where I need to get to tomorrow? And then tomorrow going to carry me in 10 years. So when it comes to a lot of the things that we're going through, it goes back into the concept what you're talking about. I can't lift 400 pounds, but understand, in order for me to get that way, I have to work backwards and start from the bottom. Yeah. So in order for me to get to where I need to, I have to start from shit. I have to start from where I'm at. I have to start from zero. And tell yourself, like, that it's going to take time. Like, nothing that we go through, nothing that we go through is just going to last. I mean, we're not going to be able to get over it in, like, 2 seconds. And if you was able to get over it in 2 seconds, that means it wasn't that big to deal with in the first place.
Dead ass.
It wasn't that big to deal with. If you didn't give a fuck about that girl in 2 seconds, you never loved her like you said you do. Right? So it's going to be hard to get over those important things. It's going to be hard to get over all of that stuff. But the matter is that it's the constant effort that you go in. You have to be persistent in the things that you do.
Absolutely.
It's never, ever going to work, right? So, moving on forward into the question. I always mess that part up. Moving on forward into the question, the last question I ask for everyone that I make up. I never really write down, but the question that I ask for everyone and the question I kind of get through the energy or whatever that I built up through the show. When it comes to this whole aspect of giving up, right? When it comes to this whole aspect of giving up, TJ, what are some things for you that you consistently find yourself giving in to?
Negatively?
Or positively? Whatever it is, just in general. You constantly find yourself giving into that.
I constantly, as of lately, especially like with, you know, with the show, with this type of thing, is just giving into kind of in my mind, like, fuck it, try it. Like, as of late, I've tried to get, especially in the past couple of years, I've tried to get way better and you know, I'll jump off the cliff and build the plane on the way down. As long as I feel like the end result is something that will make me genuinely happy.
For real.
Yeah, I've been kind of like, you know, I want to make money. I want to be able to buy a bunch of shit, but I'm really more focused on what makes me genuinely happy.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, if I could I'm more focused on turning that into something profitable as opposed to like, because I've done the whole thing. Like I'll be 30 at the end of this month. Like I've chased jobs, chased money. I've bounced 50 different things. And now I'm just like, I want to be happy.
Yep.
So happy in my relationship, but happy in my life and happy in the thing that I go to every day, which is my job.
For real.
So yeah, that's one thing that I'm like really, really big on is like, I want to be happy.
Good.
And if I can, you know, and if I can spread the shit too.
Yeah.
I want to keep this shit. I want to be only have motherfucking in the room and like, so yeah, it's just that.
And that's a dope. I'm glad you said that because while you were talking, the one thing I started to think of is just, you know, our fuck ups and how we need to fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to be this whole aspect of wanting happiness. You're not going to be able to want it as much as you did if you didn't fuck up X amount of years.
Absolutely.
If you didn't fuck up in those 20s, you wouldn't be chasing happiness.
Exactly.
Right? And this is the thing we always have to understand is we have to look at the behaviors that we're doing now because the behaviors that we're doing now is going to give us those same results. Mm-hmm. And if we're trying to get a different result, we're going to have to do something differently. That means we're going to have to get out of this, get out of that. You know, that means we're going to have to say, forget it. Look at the fuck ups that you've been through in order to get to that happy spot. Right? For me, when it comes to answering that question and when it comes to something that I'm constantly always giving into, the one thing I could say that I'm always giving into is my negative thinking. However, I've learned how to use my negative thinking as a tool. I probably say this every fucking show. Dieter, you know what I'm probably about to say right now. But I always tell myself, I always have to speak negative about myself to myself in order to give myself the courage to order to move forward. So the one thing I have to always tell myself is, Willis, you a bitch.
I actually resonate with that.
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time, but that used to be my big thing because it was more like if I was scared of something, I would definitely like put all my chips on like pride.
Yeah.
You gonna be a bitch, bro?
Exactly.
I don't give a fuck what it was. It was like, you gonna be a bitch, and I'm like, no, I ain't no pussy to myself. So yeah, like that.
So you go.
Yeah.
You go. And that's another thing, right? When you have negative things in your life, we got to understand that can be used as a tool as well. Those negative thoughts could be used as a tool because I used to really give into that, right? I used to really, growing up, I really believed that I was a fuck up, right? I really believed I was a fuck up and all these other things because everything I touched it just seemed like it would just break apart, right? So with me saying these negative things to myself, with me saying, Willis, you a bitch, it's exactly what you said. I'm not finna allow myself to be prideful because I'd be damned if somebody sit there and call me a bitch and all these extra stuff. So when it comes to me doing stuff like, I don't know, jumping out of a plane, or when it comes to, you know, benching these 3 plates, if I ain't never hit 3 plates before, it's like, yo, I ain't no bitch, so let me at least try.
Yeah.
And you're gonna realize that you're way more stronger than you think you are. Saying what like the people out here, you're gonna realize that you're way more stronger than you think you are. You're gonna realize that you're way more smarter and wiser than you think you are. You yourself, though, you're putting all of these negative things on yourself. You yourself, you're putting all of these fears and all of these dislikes and all of these negative wants on yourself. Nobody else is. You don't know what other people are thinking, right? There's like my favorite quote in the world, and I believe I'm gonna fuck this up because I always mess it up. But my favorite quote is I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. Right? I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. Right?
I fuck with that actually.
We live in a perception of a perception of a world. Right? We live in a perception of a world. Right? I think that you think that I think I'm a certain way. When in reality, we don't think anything. We don't know what's going on through your head, and the thing that's going on through your head could be wrong. So I'm putting those negative and those wrong thoughts in my head when in reality that's not how we got there in the first place. But we're living off of this perception that you perceive that it's going a certain way, when in reality the only thing that really matters is the things that you think about yourself, because you're never going to get to where you have to go, period. All right,
That's a bar.
It's a bar, my man. Good looking for coming through, dog.
Oh man, I appreciate it.
Shit, man, we just met yesterday's dope ass show. That shit was really a dope ass show. For real,
All right, man, I appreciate it.
For real, man. It's a balance. You know, it's a balance. It's a balance in which our show is held. So that shit is dope.
Well, I mean, we kind of got the cheat code, man. It's been me and E for years. So
y'all grew up together. So y'all already know.
Oh yeah, like we met in Gremlin. So,
Okay.
Then, you know, found out we was from the crib together. Came back out here, and it's been nonstop
tight
ever since. Yep.
That's what it is. Making sure you do these shows with someone you connect to instead of the random person I met on Instagram because I think his pictures is fly.
Oh no, man. That's another reason why this network and everybody here just clicks so good, because we always been like, if we gonna get it, we gonna get it with family. So that energy connects.
Exactly, not just some random folks. So, tell them when they can check you out, how they can check you out, when all that good stuff.
Just a dope ass show every Saturday. We're 3 to 5 now, 3:30 to 5, something like that.
Every Saturday at 3:30.
Every Saturday at 3:30. Shit, no my shit better than me. We still do one like during the week. Just a Dope Ass Podcast on Instagram. Shout out to my Instagram, one on EG on Instagram. Just a Dope Ass Podcast, everything, SoundCloud, whatever. And the Good News Radio, man, like I'm with it over here, man.
The same way you ever listen to my show, the same way you ever listen to his show.
Exactly.
It's just on Saturdays. And don't forget, just because it's a Sunday and you trying to listen to a show on Saturday, that shit ain't going nowhere.
Oh yeah,
you can still tune back.
It's everywhere, man.
Exactly. If you still want to check out that episode they did yesterday, go check it out. If you want to kind of go in and try to see what they like, try to see if they pass your test in terms of a dope show, hey, go check it out. It's there.
Yes, everything's up there. Y'all go listen.
Everything is up there, man. So, shouts out to you, Big Dog, for coming in.
Man. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, I'm going to have you back, man, sometime in the future.
Absolutely.
As always, man, thank you for all those folks who are tuning in. Thank you for those folks who are going to tune in tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Thank you to those folks who are tuning in. Shoot, it's really crazy to me how I got really people listening to this out the country. I really like that.
That's a wild,
That is a wild thing. It's a wild thing to me.
I started noticing that. I'm like, oh shit. I've never been to Kazakhstan, like,
and you know my name. And you listen to this shit. Like, goddamn.
You can't even put two syllables together. But listening to me, man, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it thoroughly, man. Shouts out all those individuals, man. And even more so, man, shouts out to those individuals who do not believe that they need to take care of their mental health, right? Who do not believe mental health is something serious and something real, man. You probably haven't caught on to it yet, but you will catch on to it eventually. Eventually. Always and always remember, ain't no wealth without your mental health, y'all. So please stay blessed and take care of yourself. Be great, y'all. Peace.